It's time for Declare Your Independence with Ernest Hancock.
Believe me when I say we have a difficult time ahead of us. But if we are to be prepared for it, we must first shed our fear of it. I stand here without fear because I remember that I am here not because of the path that lies before me, but because of the path that lies behind me. I remember that for 100 years we have fought these machines. And after a century of war, I remember that which matters most. We are still here! Tonight, let us make them remember we are not afraid!
Welcome back to Declare Your Independence. I'm Ernest Hancock here in Phoenix, Arizona, from the beautiful studios of Freedoms with an S, freedomsphoenix.com. There's a lot of stuff going on. I want to go ahead and just give you some headlines. We have a gentleman that's coming on in the second hour, Robert Naiman, and he wrote an article, Release Bin Laden Photo, instead release Afghanistan and Iraq. So he's already, from the left, he's going to be talking about we got to come home, bring them home. What's the excuse now? So it'll be interesting. I like having people from the left because I know what their argument's going to be, and you want to infect them a little bit and kind of get their rhetoric, certainly as we go into election 2012, because I know what's going to happen. It's going to be, how much money we spent with $3 trillion for all this to get Osama. Well, we got him, and now we could spend that money on whatever the heck it is they want to rip us off for. So we'll see if we can get them to kind of keep my money. Now we have Boehner coming out saying, "Oh, we need to cut trillions." Now remember, you had the Republican Tea Party come in $100 billion. Ooh, in a week, they added that much to the debt. A week. What? $100 billion don't mean nothing anymore. Millions and millions, pretty soon you're talking billions. Now we're talking trillions. We have a sign, have a stencil for it, and had the Gerber baby on it, revolution at the bottom, and the slogan was, as the Gerber baby stencil, and the slogan is, Mommy, what's a quadrillion dollars? With the revolution at the bottom, the Levolution logo. And we did that right after the TARP. And we put them up all over the valley, went to a lot of different political gatherings and so on. And we're just like, this is where we're going. I mean, you guys understand this, right? It's 1,000 trillion is a quadrillion. Well, they were arguing over who's going to pay 700 trillion in derivatives? Who's going to bail that out? And I'm like, wow. So when silver starts to take a dump and everything, all you have to do to console yourself is, they're just going to keep spending. They're just going to be, keep doing the money. Well, that has a lot to do with the, is it manipulation? Is it the, wink, wink, nod, nod, behind the scenes kind of deal? We're going to cut the debt. We're going to cut spend. We're going to, because you know why? Because it's 2012 election cycle. How long can you keep dragging this out? And it keeps getting worse. We have stories on Freedom's Phoenix today. One of the stories is, Ireland has raided the private pension funds to pay for government spending. They just said, where's all the money? It was right. Oh, there it is. It's ours now. Thanks for playing. Okay. It's like they, if anybody would have done that, they'd go to jail. The government has passed a law. It's all good. To think it won't happen here is to be naive. They're already talking about it. What I wanted to do is go over some of the news. Now, what I'm going to do is let's go ahead and just pull up let me go ahead and come over here. Now, on this computer, for those in the video audience, you can see the article that I put up last night. I had some conversations after the show. I got a call from a lot of people. And I wrote the article, OMG, oh my God, Ron Paul could win, so watch for this. Now, the picture that you're seeing here is Goldwater and George Romney, which is Mitt Romney's father back in 1964. Now, I was talking to a friend that, has more, knowledge of such days. And it was interesting. I had another gentleman that we had a long conversation with and another listener. So over 3 conversations, it kind of generated this concept. And I want to read this to you because I could understand where we're going, what's going to happen. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and, how much time we got? I can probably finish it here real quick. It's not real long. The obvious and unwarranted support for Herman Cain by Fox News, he's former deputy chairman 92-94 and chairman 95-96 of the Federal Reserve Bank of Kansas City. It started me thinking and commenting on what we might expect for the 2012 election cycle. A good friend that's a little bit older and experienced with the 1964 presidential election remembers how it was the moderate Republicans that needed a counter to the popularity of Goldwater inside the Republican Party. Mitt Romney's dad, George, was their man for a time. The same people doing the same stuff for the same reasons, blah, blah, blah. Barry Goldwater versus George Romney. Now, you can get a lot of stuff on Wiki and back and forth. Now, it's quit it. But here's the pertinent part that, caught my eye. George Romney briefly represented moderate Republicans against conservative Republican Barry Goldwater during the 64 U.S. presidential election. He requested and this was his mindset back then, now we have Iraq, Afghanistan, Libya, and fill in the blank, whatever else. Back then it was Vietnam. He requested the intervention of federal troops during the 67 Detroit riot. Romney was a candidate for the Republican nomination for president of the United States in 68. Now, he was the, we're going to have law and order guy. Now, he was governor of Michigan, okay? While initially a front runner, he proved an ineffective campaigner and fell behind Nixon in polls following the mid-67 remark that his earlier support for the Vietnam War had been due to a brainwashing by U.S. military and diplomatic officials in Vietnam. Now, this is in the 68 campaign. His campaign faltered even more, and he withdrew from the contest in early 68. Once elected, Nixon appointed Romney Secretary of Housing and Urban Development. Now, this is somebody that's the inside guy. Now, why did they bring Romney out? Now, here's a guy that was, law and order. I need the federal troops to come out and take care of the 67 riots and stuff and going on in Vietnam and the Democrats having whatever. And, I'm the guy, we're going to have troops, okay, on the streets. So when Goldwater is running, getting popular and everything, who did the establishment bring out to counter to him, to start, trying to pull off support, bleed off some support? George Romney. Well, so Mitt's been pedigreed into this thing since forever, but it was Herman Cain that made me think of, why are they pushing him so much? Why do you have the anti-Federal Reserve Ron Paul, and they're bringing up a former chairman, of the Kansas City branch there as a candidate? Where the heck did that come from? Then I remembered the fair tax thing. He keeps going on about the fair tax. Well, there was a couple of things about it. And we'll finish the article here in a little bit. There's more to it. But in, I think it was probably 2003, 4, around in there was a big fair tax event in North Scottsdale at a resort there. And we were invited to, my wife and I, Don and I went with some friends and so on. They had a table around. The table was called the Arizona School Choice Trust. And it was, a private, voluntary contribution to poor children to be able to pay part of their tuition to go to private schools to get out of the public education system. My children benefited from it. We spoke for them a lot. We helped raise money. We do the ice cream social stuff and everything. This is done back in the mid-early 90s when our kids were little, even too young to, take advantage of it. And we were on top of the list of this thing because, man, this is libertarians really doing work for the private education, a freedom-oriented, certainly us, and then other people to get them out. Well, they had a table at this where Herman Cain spoke. It was a very interesting event, and I'll give you some behind-the-scenes baseball when we come back here in just a little bit on Declare Your Independence. You stay right there.